All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The December 17th, 2025 meeting of the City Council will now come to order at 6 p.m. Erica, may we have roll call, please?
Jessica Ayers.
Here.
Nick Card.
Here.
Kevin Keating. Here. Mike Curlinger.
Here.
John Quinn.
Here.
Zach Smith.
Here.
Kevin Stein. Garrett West.
Here.
We have 7 present.
All right. Thank you. We have quorum. Mr. Vile, City Manager Report, Agenda Item 20.
Mayor, Council, John Vile, your interim city manager. So a quick update on a few items of things going on in our community. First of all, I want to recognize Sam Barnum. Sam was honored by the Building Association of Southern Oregon, where he received a Certified Distinguished Service Award for 30 years of dedicated service to the Medford community. This is especially noteworthy. Sam has announced his retirement effective May 1st, but this is particularly noteworthy because Sam and his staff is in a regulatory role. They have to tell the builders things that often they don't want to hear. And Sam has found this sweet spot where he has partnered with the building community and the development community such that he can interact with them in a way that they have confidence in what he's saying is the correct thing, and they're comfortable with the role he's playing. And I think it's quite an honor for Sam to be recognized with the very people that he's regulating for this award. And so congratulations, Sam, for a job well done, and we'll recognize his retirement as that gets closer. I'm excited to announce that the WIFIA loan, the large loan for the wastewater treatment plant, was approved today. It has been fully executed, and now we have a $147 million low-interest federal loan to complete this very important and very expensive project. This loan is a good deal for the city, and it has very flexible terms, including you don't have to start repaying it until 5 years after construction, low interest rates, and it smooths the overall rates that we're going to charge our ratepayers over time. I want to recognize Ryan Martin and Trevor Williams from the Finance Department for the work that they did on this, and recognize a whole host of people from the Public Works Department that I'm not going to name, but I will note Lorraine Peterson is here, and Lorraine played a very important role in putting this whole package together. So congratulations to those folks. This is a major step. It was almost a 2-year process to get to this point. In my new role as the interim city manager, I've been meeting with community groups and stakeholders. And when you go out and you ask people, how are we doing, they will tell you. So some of the feedback has been hard to hear. But I did want to share with you that overall, folks have been quite complimentary. And I wanted to especially note to City Council that they have been very appreciative of the engagement that council has had with them. Many of them noted our council's involved, our council's talking to us, our council is engaged with the community. So I just wanted to acknowledge council and recognize your efforts in that manner and let you know that I am hearing these things. And lastly, the holiday season is upon us. City Hall will be closed on Christmas Day, and we will be closed on New Year's Day as well. Other than that, all other days is business as usual, and we are operating on our regular hours. An ending note, this is the last council meeting of this calendar year, and so I won't see you again until next year, so wish everybody a happy holiday season, and thank you all for your service. And that concludes my report.
Great. Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item 30. There are no recognitions or community groups tonight, so we will go on to oral requests and communications. And this is where the City Council sets aside 30 minutes for in-person public comments. Comments are limited to 2 minutes per person or organization. As outlined in the agenda, the public may also submit written comments to the council. But there were no written comments submitted for tonight's meeting. Before hearing public comments, I would like to note the decorum policy for the council chambers. The use of noisemakers or disruptive audience behavior, such as applause, cheering, or shouting, is not permitted. Decorum violations are time-consuming and disrespectful to the speaker and all attendees. Failure to follow the basic standards of decorum may result in removal from the meeting. Finally, I would like to emphasize that this is your opportunity to provide comments to the council and is not intended to be a time for questions and answers. If you have completed a public comment form, please come to the front of the room when your name is called. The time is not 2 o'clock, it is 6:05. Erica, has anyone filled out a public comment form?
Yes, we have 13, Your Honor.
Okay.
I will call you up 3 at a time. And the first is Ellen Eichhammer, David Eichhammer, and Gary Wheeler.
Okay. Good evening, I'm Ellen. I am a longtime member of Medford, Oregon. I raised my family here and worked at Providence, and I also worked for the state of Oregon. I'm here tonight because I am very upset about what we've been seeing through Homeland Security and Border Control across the state of Oregon particularly. So I gave you all a note this morning because I knew I had too many things that I was really wanting to share. I've been studying about our Oregon State sanctuary law and the anti-bias laws and how they work together to protect our people of color. My understanding is there's about 20% of our population is people of color that are at risk. And we're seeing this population being targeted and abused in unlawful manners, actions that our local police would never do to a citizen without being called on the carpet in a big way or even have charges against them. So because the president is giving people permission to act outside the laws, that doesn't mean that the laws are no longer in place. Our laws in this country are passed by our Congress, not by the president as an order that someone writes for him and he signs. So I would like to ask you, as our city officials, to be upholding the laws in our city and to make yourself familiar with the state sanctuary law, because the people that started, two things started me to study this law. One was running into a person at one of the rallies that you've seen in our city that have been peaceful, and our police have protected our First Amendment rights, and we really appreciate that. Other communities have not found that kind of support for their First Amendment rights. It's something we do have here. We want to see our community stand up for the rest of our constitutional rights.
Thank you.
2 minutes goes by really fast. That's why I wrote a letter.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm going to be pretty strict on enforcement. If we think about 13 people and back and forth, we'll run out of our 30 minutes pretty quick, so. Did I say 13 or 30? 30. 13 people. 13 people, yeah.
To start,
Yep, go for it.
I'm David Eichhammer. I'm a 40-year resident of Medford. I wish to speak to the Sanctuary Promise Act of 2021, that's HB 3265, and I quote from the Oregon Department of Justice website. Oregon is a sanctuary state, and state or local law enforcement or public agencies must refuse and reject collaboration with federal authorities for immigration enforcement purposes. The Oregon Attorney General has stated everyone in Oregon will uphold our laws or be held accountable by establishing hotlines to report violations. The sanctuary laws include privacy on immigration status, the use of judicial warrants, and due process to pursue legal detentions. The DOJ has online community toolkits to educate and support sanctuary laws and anti-bias laws. So I formally asked the mayor and the city councilors to publicly and actively endorse guidance for city employees implementing anti-bias and Oregon State sanctuary laws. Also, immigrants in Medford should not be subject to undue persecution, fear, or separations, and no one should live in fear and be afraid of unlawful, violent deportation without due process. We are a country founded on the rule of law and expect our city and law enforcement officers to work with those laws to protect our legal constitutional rights. Medford has long been home to immigrants and seasonal workers that support our agricultural economy. The work started after World War II and is critical to meet some workforce needs to feed our state. I personally have worked with Spanish-speaking crews of tree planters and firefighters on federal lands. This is hard work that they perform. I got one more paragraph? No?
We got a bunch of people, sorry. I think
All right, thank
we
you.
appreciate your point, though.
Good evening. My name's Gary Wheeler. I'm here to thank you. A little different.
You must be in the wrong building, sir.
I want to thank City Council and the mayor for honoring my wife, who passed away in March at the Wall of Remembrance up on Fromeyer Donahue Park. And it's a very nice honor. She was my best friend. She was my wife of 57 years. That's sainthood almost. Plus some dating in college. So I think we averaged about 60 years altogether being together. So she was my best friend. She was certainly my confidant. But also she was my biggest critic. And let me tell you, she didn't broach any kind of, she was very honest and very forthright and everything else, and I really appreciate it. I think it made me a better person, maybe a better mayor at one point or other, or more than that, so I needed all the help I could get sometimes. Anyway, it's just a very nice honor. We appreciate very much having this done for us, and I was thinking I might have put a stone below her name and just says, with an arrow saying, I'm with her, because so a very special relationship and very nice. So thank you once again for all that you do. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And it wasn't our honor, unfortunately. I mean, it's not how we'd much rather not be having to do that. But I mean, clearly, all that she'd done for the city, it's I guess it was an honor to be able to do that for her. So we appreciate you saying thank you, but all of her service and all of your service are well noted.
Thank you very much. And thanks for putting me on Parks and Recreation, by the way.
Yeah.
So
Wait, is that official?
No, not yet.
We're on it today. Thank you, Gary.
Next group, Miriam Greer, Eben Mitten, and Leonie Fogel.
And just to kind of speed things, let's call the next three, and they can come down and stack up as well. And you can go ahead and.
Arlene Aaron, Doug Frazier, and Alan Hallmark.
Okay.
Hi, good evening. My name is Miriam Greer, and I'm a resident of Medford. I'm here tonight to urge the City Council to write and pass a strong resolution that Medford will honor and uphold the sanctuary laws of our state. We have a local ICE office, and they conduct a lot of legitimate business. That's not what I'm talking about here. Across the country, we all are aware of federal agents who are terrorizing neighborhoods and kidnapping individuals and basically violating due process that everyone in this country is entitled to, regardless of their immigration status. When our own federal government breaks our laws and defies our Constitution, no one is safe. When a community allows this to occur, whether it actively assists unlawful enforcement actions or even just houses the agents doing it, it creates fear and division. Oregon has the oldest sanctuary law in the country. Oregon cities can and must act in accordance with the word and intent of those laws. Last week, we saw our coastal communities come together and reject ICE's intention to set up in Newport and Waldport. The city of Waldport passed a strong resolution to oppose stationing ICE or its activities in Waldport. I expect nothing less from the city of Medford. I urge you to follow Waldport's lead and to pass a resolution to honor our state sanctuary laws and to protect us from ICE or any other federal agents who would violate our safety and our constitutional right to due process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eben Mitten, and I'm currently a sophomore at North Medford High School, and I'm here today to speak about the recent cuts to RVTD. As a high schooler, people get to school many different ways. I walk to school, but other people might drive to school, take the school bus, or take RVTD. As I'm sure you're all aware, earlier this year, RVTD had to eliminate 10 of their bus lines, as well as reducing service hours and eliminating all Saturday service due to the loss of federal funds making up a large chunk of their funding. The large scale back of service by RVTD has left people who can't drive without a convenient method of transportation, something that is important for many of my peers who haven't gotten their driver's license yet or don't have a readily available car to use. The Rogue Valley Times estimated that these cuts would result in RVTD losing around half of its ridership, meaning that hundreds of people will have to find new ways to get to and from work or school. I'm here today to encourage you to work with RVTD and the state government to see if there's any way to bring back this service that's crucial for many people to be able to get to work or school. I want to encourage you to work with the state government to see if there's any way that they could provide some of the lost funding to try and restore this service to provide more transportation options for people in Medford and across the Rogue Valley. That concludes what I have to say, and I want to thank you for taking the time to listen and considering my opinion.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Leonie Fogel. My family are all longtime residents of the Pacific Northwest. Three of my ancestors. Oh, thank you. Okay. Three of my ancestors fought for the Union Army during our historic Civil War. One died in a field hospital. Another lived to be the last commanding officer at Fort Tongass in Alaska, and the last commanding officer at Fort Steilacoom in Washington State. Captain Charles Henry Pierce would be horrified to know we had come to a place where we were disappearing our neighbors and friends. I want to believe we have the presence of mind to stand up for the rule of law, to stand up for decency, and that we might give what would otherwise be called civil disobedience a citywide resolution. Now I know we're a sanctuary state. I'm recently down from Seattle. Resolution, citywide resolution to push back against the mercenary, extrajudicial militia that ICE is. I want to believe we can at least offer this tyrannical time's prey some sanctuary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Arlene Aaron. I sincerely wish that I didn't have to stand before you with these concerns, but I don't believe these are normal times. As an Oregonian and a Medford citizen, I am appalled and terrified what I see happening in our country and in our state. I came today to appeal to you for your help about what you can do to strengthen our Oregon sanctuary law. I hope we all recognize that most folks coming to this country are fleeing unimaginable situations and are looking for a better life for themselves and their families. They are hardworking contributors to the economy. This is not the way to repay them. I have so many concerns and worries, but in particular, I was wondering what is happening in our schools with our children. I would like to see school policies strengthened that no child will be traumatized by seeing a parent kidnapped or a teacher dragged out of a classroom. I expect that Medford police, city businesses, parks, and recreation areas are preparing to protect our citizens when masked, out-of-control ICE agents appear here. OR 181A.820 prohibits Medford police from providing cooperation or assistance to ICE under most circumstances. ICE has dragged people from their homes, cars, and places of business. There have also been several deaths reported at ICE detention facilities. We are a strong multicultural city, and I expect to remain that way. I also hope that you will pause the flock program, as Eugene, Springfield, and Woodburn have done, in order to prevent their use in racial profiling. I was impressed to hear what Multnomah County has declared after the invasion of ICE in their cities, and I want us to be as committed to using every tool at our disposal to support our neighbors, immigrant families, refugee families. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Can we call the next three?
The last group will be Kathleen Donham, Jillian Cordell, Brian Pike, and Amanda Morehouse.
Mayor, councilpersons, my name is Doug Fraser. I'm speaking tonight in favor of Medford as a sanctuary city. Our Constitution guarantees rights we all believe in: free speech, the right to bear arms, free assembly, we're here tonight, open elections, a free press, on arrest, the right to appear with an attorney in court. We all wish that these rights were so apparent to everyone as to not need explanation or duplication in city and state laws. But all of us worry that these constitutional rights granted today to everyone in the U.S., regardless of birthplace, will soon be ignored by a few against us all. The codification of the constitutional values in city statute allows all of us to slow down, to think, to embrace our humanity, to confirm our commonality. I ask you, make Medford a sanctuary city.
Good evening, council members and Mr. Mayor. I'm Alan Hallmark, and I'm a resident of Ward 1 here in Medford. And I'm a member of a group of citizens that you've been hearing from tonight, asking you to draft and adopt either a sanctuary city ordinance or at least a resolution or ordinance establishing a city policy in support of enforcing the state of Oregon's sanctuary state laws. We ask that the new sanctuary policy make it clear to all city employees, especially all police department employees, and the residents of Medford, that the city supports and enforces the state sanctuary laws and will not cooperate with Homeland Security or its agencies, including ICE, to help enforce federal immigration laws. As we understand it, the city of Medford currently has no local policy or local ordinances related to immigration enforcement. The Medford Police Department follows both applicable and state and federal laws on this issue. We would hope that the sanctuary policy that the council eventually adopts will include a recurring training program for MPD officers and other city employees who are likely to interface with ICE or other Homeland Security officials, and that this course be taught by qualified experts in the sanctuary laws. We ask this because the current president and his administration have for some time been conducting raids and sweeps intended to arrest and deport undocumented aliens. And they're going far beyond the felons that they said they would be arresting. Thank you very much for your time.
Hello, thank you for taking comments. My name is Kathleen Donham. I live in northeast Medford, where we have, in amidst the orchards up there, there's a lot of farm workers in my area, and I really don't want to see them bothered in their jobs. My friend who is a teacher at North, teaches ESL, when the parent-teacher conferences were held last month, none of the parents showed up. Those are the kind of things that we're feeling here locally, and I hope that you will review the Oregon sanctuary laws. Probably the most important one I read was, it is against Oregon law for state and local law enforcement or public agencies, state and local government offices in the state of Oregon to participate directly or indirectly in immigration enforcement without a judicial warrant. So I hope you'll have a chance to review some of those rules. Thanks for taking comments.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor. My name is Julian Cordell. I will introduce myself as if none of you know me, but I know that many of you probably do. I have spent the last 13 years serving the city as a Parks and Recreation Commissioner, about half of those years as the chairperson. Mayor, I want to thank you for the kind note that you sent me, certificate honoring my service. I'm going to read a little bit of the accomplishments. I don't want it to sound like I'm bragging, but the accomplishments of 13 years of volunteerism I think are important to note. So the city has asked me, this body has asked me to be a subject matter expert on parks and recreation topics for 13 years. And so for 13 years, I treated that as everything I would pour my soul into. So I reviewed all the agenda items. I served as best as I could in that. Unfortunately, some work changes mean I'm going to be traveling a lot more, and so I have to step back. But my time there, we have a lot of fantastic things about Medford. In November 2023, I was asked to speak in Manhattan about the great work we do in local government with youth sports and how we build facilities. That's a little bit of the history, but it brings me to my second point. Hold on, it's a little warm in here. So for 13 years, I've been your subject matter expert. I'm asking you to hear me now. We need this stadium built. We know that we've had success with the concept, so we've got the vision part down. We have to follow through with the action part. Everyone in this room, this is everything we need to get this across the finish line, is right here in this room. I'm asking you, do not let the fire die. Let's get this done. Let's get the baseball stadium built. Let's bring minor league baseball to Medford. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for 13 years.
It's been my pleasure.
Mayor, council members, my name is Brian Pike. I'm a citizen of Ward 3. I'd like to rise. I apologize, I don't have a prepared statement today. I'd like to rise in support of Oregon's sanctuary laws, like many of my fine neighbors here. And I'd like to applaud them for coming forth and speaking out against severely what I see as, you don't have to be a lawyer to see that people are being hurt by this. You don't have to be, just open your hearts, please. And I strongly urge the council to recognize and support the sanctuary state laws that we have and adopt similar resolutions for our city here in Medford to protect our most vulnerable citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Amanda. Can you hear me okay? I guess so, yes. I am also here to request that the City Council adopt a sanctuary policy that endorses the state sanctuary laws and requires recurrent training, especially of police officers. As far as we know, the City Council, their city currently has no such policy, and we're in a unique position of not having, not being under attack every day by ICE agents as compared to the bigger cities across the US. So I think that the city is in a unique position to make a policy, to talk about a policy, and get ready for the inevitability of it happening, and showing all of our neighbors that we actually do care about each other and we're going to take care of each other. So we're not flailing around when it happens. And that's all I ask, if you can do that.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else that filled out a card? Well, I think that is almost, it's 6:29. I want to say thank you to everyone for your respectful and thoughtful thoughts tonight. Certainly that's all taken into consideration. In general, we do not do question and answer. I'm just really impressed the fact that we got it done. We got it done perfectly within the time allotted. So well done to you all. There is always a response that we send out to everyone that comes in, and you'll get a recognition of the comments that you made and maybe some additional information to go along with that. That being said, we're going to move on to our regularly scheduled business. I'm sure you guys are all going to want to stay and sit through the entire meeting. On the off chance that you're going to go, just leave quietly. Thank you. That brings us to approval or correction of the December 3rd, 2025 minutes, which we've all received draft minutes of. Does anyone have any revisions or corrections to those minutes? All right, seeing none, the minutes will stand. Agenda item 60 is the consent calendar. There are 3 items on the consent calendar tonight, Mr. Mitten.
Yes, Your Honor. Item 60.1 is Council Bill 2025-103, a resolution canvassing the returns of the special election on November 4, 2025, and declaring the election results on ballot measure 15-238, amending the city charter to increase the transient lodging tax from 11% to 13%. Item 60.2 is Council Bill 2025-104, an ordinance approving and authorizing execution of a contract with SAK Construction LLC in the amount of $1,888,535.20 to install cured-in-place pipe lining in deteriorated sewer and storm pipes at various locations in the city. And item 60.3 is Council Bill 2025-105, a resolution authorizing acceptance and expenditure of a $780,593 State of Oregon local government grant for the renovation of Jackson Park.
Super. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar, Mr. Card.
I move the consent calendar.
Second.
And second, is that Mr. Stein? Yep. Items to be removed? Mr. Card?
60.1.
60.1. Anyone else? All right, we'll ballot on the remaining items. Erica, could we have roll call, please?
Nick Card,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
Mike Curlinger,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Zach Smith.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right. Yes, that passed. 60.1, Mr.
Just a question and a clarification. I believe I understand the answer to this. In the text, as you read, Mr. Mitten, it says that we are amending city charter to increase the transient lodging tax from 11% to 13%. My understanding is that it really could be more accurately stated as amending the city charter to increase the maximum transient lodging tax from 11% to 13%, and we're not actually increasing the transient lodging tax at this time.
You're right. We're not making any change to the actual transient lodging tax at this time. The actual rate is set by municipal code. The maximum rate is set by city charter. So the intent of this drafting is by increasing the charter amount, we are increasing the maximum rate, but not changing the actual rate.
Thank you very much, and I move to approve Council Bill 2025-103.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? We'll call the roll on that.
Nick Card,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Mike Curlinger,
Yes.
Zach Smith.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
Okay, that passes as well. We are on to ordinances and resolutions. 80.1, Council Bill 2025-106, Mr. Mitten.
Thank you. 80.1 is Council Bill 2025-106, an ordinance approving and authorizing execution of a 5-year contract with Unis Solutions, Inc. in the amount of $433,425.80 for budget development and transparency software utilizing a Sourcewell cooperative purchasing agreement.
All right, staff report? Motion? Yep, Mr. Card.
Move to approve Council Bill 2025-106.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Can you call the roll, please?
Nick Card,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Mike Curlinger,
Yes.
Kevin Keating.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right, that passes. Public hearings. Before the public hearings begin, I'd like to remind everyone that the rules of decorum previously outlined are still applicable. Violation of the decorum policy may result in your removal from the chambers. This evening, we have 2 administrative and 2 land use quasi-judicial hearings and 1 continuance request. If you would like to speak during one of these hearings, please complete a blue public comment form to be called forward. Comments for administrative or legislative hearings are limited to 4 minutes per individual, group, or organization. Comments for quasi-judicial hearings are limited to a total of 30 minutes for applicants and/or their representatives. A 5-minute rebuttal time may be requested. Appellants and/or their representatives are limited to a total of 30 minutes, and if the applicant is not the appellant, they will also be allowed a total of 30 minutes. All other participants will be limited to 4 minutes. Quasi-judicial hearings have specific requirements which City Attorney Eric Minton will outline before the hearing begins. 90.1.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item 90.1 is a request for continuance. Council has requested to consider continuance of the vacation of the full 23.5-foot width and approximately 567-foot length of New Bridge Way right-of-way running eastward from its intersection with North Ross Lane. The subject right-of-way is within both the community commercial and the heavy commercial zoning districts and includes a restricted zoning administrative mapping overlay. And this is land use quasi-judicial. If anyone actually wants to testify before we can continue, I can read the quasi-judicial rules. Otherwise, I will refrain.
Sure. So the staff has requested to continue this hearing to the January 7th, 2026 City Council meeting. Is there anyone present to speak on this topic? Okay, I will entertain a motion to continue.
So moved.
Okay, so I got Curlinger and Keating. I'll be nice. Discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Mike Curlinger,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Nick Card,
Yes.
Garrett West.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
Hey, that one passed as well. 90.2.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item 90.2 is Council Bill 2025-107, a resolution approving the update of City of Medford's 2025 fee schedule to update the sewage treatment utility fee adopted by the Regional Rate Committee at its May 19th, 2025 meeting, as well as several parks and recreation fees.
All right. We are forced to have a staff report.
We are, yes. I will
Sorry to everybody up here, but
I will
that's
be
how
brief.
it works.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Ryan Martin, your Chief Financial Officer, and I'm going to briefly present on the city fee changes that we're proposing this evening. So just a summary, we're looking at increasing the sewer treatment fees as approved by the Regional Rate Committee back in May in accordance with our rate modeling for the wastewater treatment plant project, and then also a few parks and recreation fees. So just a brief overview, sewer treatment, the Medford plant provides wastewater treatment services for Medford as well as outlying areas with the exception of Ashland. The Regional Rate Committee is comprised of 2 RVSS board members and 2 wonderful city councilors. The Regional Rate Committee sets the sewer rates for the treatment plant, and then Medford and RVSS have to choose whether to pass that on to the ratepayers. In this case, there's no other real revenue that goes into those funds, and so in the past, these have been passed on to our ratepayers. So this, the resolution that was approved by the Regional Rate Committee increased the fees by 15%, 16%, and 15% over the next 3 years. So the reason for the rate increase, the city of Medford has always been in compliance with the DEQ permit, but with the new permit, we have a schedule that we have to abide by for the construction of the upgrades to the wastewater treatment plant to lower the amount of nitrogen and phosphorus in the effluent from the treatment plant. We're also required to meet certain bond coverage requirements, which we have a rate modeling planned out for 30 years. The council has previously seen this when these were approved. I should say the former council has seen this. And so we have those modeled out. One of our performance measures in finance is to regularly update this model based on the most up-to-date information we have. So interest rates, the WIFIA loans that were just approved this afternoon, and different revenue bonds that we are issuing, such as in January of next year. Also in Parks and Recreation, we have several fees here. I will not go through all these, but we do have them marked if they're revisions or new fees, what they are, and then also the estimated annual revenue for those. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
All right. Any questions on the proposed? Yes, Mr. West.
To clarify, the new parks fees, they're not going on people's utility bills. They're for when you want to rent space or do things with the Parks Department, right?
This is correct, yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Quinn?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, with seeing no further questions at this point, I will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on the subject, please come forward as called. Erica, did anybody fill out a blue comment form?
We did not, Your Honor.
All right. Is there anyone here tonight that did not fill out a comment card that would like to speak? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. The only discussion before moving to motion is I always like to do this. Everybody that votes on this has to pay this fee, so technically there is a financial conflict of interest for all these counselors, but just disclosing that clears that hurdle, correct?
Right, and everyone up here is subject to the same fees as everyone else, and so it's, to make a long story short, it's kosher to vote on this.
There we go. Okay, motion? Mr. Card?
I move to approve the resolution as presented.
Second.
So motion by Mr. Card, second by Counselor Ayers. Any discussion? Mr. Key, Mr. Curlinger.
I think the only thing that I had some potential concern about was the accessible aquatic classes. Like, how well attended are they, and are we, if someone's attending for like a disability purpose, are we putting them in a really bad spot by going from $0 to $69 per? The rest of them is, if you're doing a special event and you need speakers, I'm fine with that. But this one could have some like potential health or ADA, I thought, ramifications. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the answer is like, no, it's all fine.
Maybe we'll check with Parks, kind of get an idea of how much that is utilized and what.
It doesn't exist to 69.
My understanding was the class currently exists and there's not I read it as it currently exists and there's not a fee. If it doesn't exist and now we're making it, that's totally different.
You do.
Mayor, Council, Rich Rosenthal, your Parks Recreation Director. Councilor Curlinger, the swim lesson fee for group lessons, which we had about 1,200 of them in the first year of operation, that's not changing. And all of our swim lessons we accommodate to the greatest extent possible. So there is no fee increase. What we are adjusting, the private lessons going from 92 to 112 to make sure that the taxpayers aren't subsidizing the private swim lessons, and also adjusting the fee if there is a private lesson and then there's a sibling who wants to be in a second person on that private lesson, that's a fee adjustment. We didn't envision that when we introduced the fee schedule for the ROGACs initially, and we learned this is a request we get. So there should be a fee for that sibling.
I actually love that. Mine was the accessible aquatic classes. And I could be misinterpreting what that means.
The accessible aquatic classes, that's a new program. So that's something that we hadn't done before. So there's a fee for service there.
I misunderstood then.
So the current fee should say NA.
Yes, that probably would, yeah, that's my bad. Don't blame Ryan for that. That's on me.
No, you can blame me for not asking my email more clearly.
Garrett?
Oh, I was just about to say the same thing. The 0 just designates that they're new, and it's only the revisions where there's something besides 0. So, but Rich beat me to the punch.
Got it. For discussion purposes, I just wanted to re-clarify for everyone watching at home and in the audience that the federal government is requiring us to build a new regional wastewater treatment plant. In order to pay for that, we all have to bear the cost of that. So we're not just increasing fees for the purpose of increasing fees or to use the money for other purposes. Thank you.
Rich, I want to publicly apologize after I publicly questioned you. It says new and I got distracted by the numbers and your intent was clear. I just don't know how to read.
Okay, any other discussion? Call the roll.
Nick Card.
Yes.
Jessica Ayers. Yes. Kevin Keating.
Yes.
Mike Curlinger.
Yes.
Zach Smith.
Yes.
John Quinn.
Abstain.
Kevin Stein.
Yes.
And Garrett West.
Yes.
We have 7 yes and 1 abstention.
Still passes 90.3.
Thank you, Your Honor. 90.3 is Council Bill 2025-108, a resolution adopting the first supplemental budget for the 2025-2027 biennium, resulting in a $5,625,100 increase in appropriations for the biennium.
Mr. Martin.
All right, Ryan Martin again. So this evening, we are looking to for council to adopt this supplemental budget that affects 9 departments and 17 different funds. You're welcome. I'm not going to talk about each of these funds, just the ones that require it to be a public hearing, which are new funds and funds increasing appropriations by more than 10%. So the new fund that we have is the home fund, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And then we also have 2 of our forfeiture funds and the cemetery fund that are increasing by over 10%. The $5.6 million, we get asked this question a lot. We do these supplemental budgets every 6 months. We get asked, why is there all this unforeseen money? A lot of it's that we get grants that we don't know about. The budget's pretty much finalized in April. And so a lot of times we have 3 months in the last biennium that sometimes we anticipate spending money and sometimes we don't actually spend it, so it has to move to the next biennium. So those are the main reasons. Just wanted to point that out. If anybody in the audience or up here do have any questions about that. So the first is a new fund, 733, the home fund. And this will be for the receipt and expenditures for the home investment partnership program. I think HIP would have been a really cool acronym instead of home for that, but that's just my opinion. It's administered by HUD, somewhat similar to the CDBG program, and it focuses on creating affordable home ownership. There is a one-time contribution from the general fund to start the program of $145,000. That's a requirement from HUD for the home program. One-time thing, and we're not required to provide that match in the future. I'm going to combine all the PD forfeiture funds that we have. We have 3 different funds. 2 are affected by the supplemental budget. But we don't budget these because we never have any idea how much they're going to be. Money is seized during drug investigations and other sort of investigations, and then the city, after that's sent to the federal state government, we receive a portion of that, and so we just have no idea how much it's going to be. So that's why we do these in the supplemental budgets. And those will be used for small equipment, vehicles, and upfitting and software. There are very specific uses for these funds. They can only be used on certain things. What I appreciate is that our police department actually utilizes some of these funds for vehicles where it alleviates a little bit of the burden on the general fund, which I always appreciate, and we'll probably take Ivans to lunch for that. And then the cemetery fund, which actually has a very historically low turnover rate. There's $1,700 of revenue, which actually does increase the fund by more than 10% because it's such a small fund. And it'll be used for memorial restoration and ongoing maintenance. And I see that my turnover rate fell on deaf ears, but happy to answer any questions on the remainder of the supplemental budget or any that were not in this presentation or move to a public hearing.
Questions? All right, thank you, Ryan. At this point, At this point, I'll open the public hearing. And anyone that wishes to speak on the subject, please come forward as called. Anyone to talk about this? Anyone that wants to talk about this? All right. Seeing none, close the public hearing. Motion, Mr. Stein?
So I have a question now. I didn't say this the first 2 times I went through it. So Muni Court has $95,000 plus for a part-time bailiff. Is that something that'll continue into the future forever, or is this what is the circumstances there?
So this is a position that was discussed for probably about a year or so. It was not actually included in the budget. It was approved to fund the position, but was not included in the budget. I do anticipate that it would be a position that will continue into the future.
Okay. Was that the only personnel thing that we haven't talked about as a council that I can that's in here? I think it's mainly just shifting money around from contingency. So that was the only one I think I saw.
Yes, I believe that's the only one that is in here that relates to personnel.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, I move to
Just
approve.
a sec, we got another.
Oh,
go ahead, Mr. Key.
questions.
I did have a
Yeah,
question about, thank you, about the damage claims revenue for the police vehicles damaged. Is that fully cover the cost to us or not? Do you have any idea of that?
Do you want to take that one?
I can take this. So those are subrogation actions, and On situations where the other driver is at fault, that will, those subrogation amounts will typically cover the full amount damaged, just like in a private party situation where car A hits car B, insurance company A pays to insurance company B the repair amounts. That's not to say that in every single case the other driver is at fault, but on those where we are receiving the recovery, it typically does cover the repair costs, because that's how subrogation is typically calculated.
Revenue neutral, thank you.
Other questions? Mr. Stein?
I move to approve Council Bill 2025 TAC 108.
And second from, was that Mr. Keating? Great. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes?
Jessica Ayers. Yes. Nick Card,
Yeah.
Mike Curlinger,
Yes.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
and Garrett West.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right, that passes. 90.4.
90.4 is Council Bill 2025-109, an ordinance approving a minor amendment to the general land use plan map of the Medford Comprehensive Plan by changing the land use designation of 2 parcels totaling approximately 0.65 acres located at 1392 Poplar Drive from urban high-density residential to service commercial. And this is land use quasi-judicial, so those rules I skipped earlier, I get to circle back to. I'm going to explain the rules that govern this hearing. Before the hearing begins, city staff will give a report. The report will list the criteria that governs the city's decision. After the staff report, the hearing will be open for other speakers. The applicant will speak first and may ask for rebuttal time. Following the applicant, any other interested person will be allowed to speak. Before the hearing is closed, anyone who needs more time to present evidence must ask for more time. If you ask, the hearing will be continued or the record will be kept open, and you'll have at least 7 days to present additional written evidence. Any testimony, argument, or evidence you give must relate to the criteria listed in the staff report or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or land use regulations that you believe apply to the decision. If you fail to raise an issue or do not give the council sufficient information so that the council and any party can respond, you will not be able to appeal that issue to the Land Use Board of Appeals. If you do not raise constitutional or other issues about any proposed condition with specificity so that the council can respond to that issue, you will not be able to bring a court action for damages. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we begin considering this item, does anyone have conflicts of interest or ex parte contacts to report? Mr. West?
I just need to note that this is like 3 blocks from my house. I do not have bias, and I can render an impartial decision. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, staff report, please.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Good evening, councilors. I am Kelly Aiken with your planning department. So I have a pretty brief presentation for you on the comprehensive plan amendment, general land use plan map amendment. I'm going to call it GLUP because it's easier. And in the audience tonight, we have Mark McKechnie is the agent for this project. So as always, we start out with our approval criteria found in Land Development Code section 10.222. They've been analyzed in your staff report and have been found to be either satisfied or not applicable in this case. Let's see, this is a type 4 quasi-judicial decision, and the City Council is the approving authority. The Planning Commission did forward a favorable recommendation to you at their November 13th meeting. So the property this evening is, it's 2 properties totaling 0.65 acres. The GLUP designation is urban high density residential. That GLUP designation allows the MFR 20 and 30 zone designations. And then the request before you this evening is to change that GLUP designation from urban high density residential to service commercial. Taking a look at the overall area, we're on the east side of Poplar Drive between East McAndrews and Progress Drive. You can see Wilson Elementary School is just to the northeast of the subject site. The site, as I mentioned, is currently designated UH, and the zoning map on the right side of your screen shows it as MFR 20. The Planning Commission did conditionally approve a zone change to service commercial and professional office, which is the only zone district that's permissible in the SC GLUP designation. All the acronyms tonight. The Planning Commission's decision was conditional, and the condition is that it's based on the council's decision this evening. Just a quick shot of what it is and what it could be if the council approves the request. And you're probably wondering, why are we even doing this evening? The applicant has submitted an application to develop 32 apartment units on the property. That is not allowed under the current GLUP and zone designation. It's too dense. So on the top of the screen, you can see the maximum densities that are allowed with the MFR 20 and 30 zones, which again are the zones that are permissible in the UH GLUP. Under the service commercial GLUP and their companion CSP zone districts, the maximum, there is no maximum in the commercial zones. So in the commercial zones, multifamily development is permissible at a minimum of 20 units to the acre with no maximum. So that requested change would then allow the proposed 32 units. And I wanted to note, although the eventual development at this time appears to be residential, staff isn't recommending any conditions that require that particular development or use. The application that's before you this evening does meet the approval criteria without any recommended conditions. All right, moving on to findings. The top table is from the 2023 adopted housing capacity analysis. And in the highlighted area, you can see that there's a 50-acre surplus of high-density, urban high-density residential land. And the bottom table is from the draft economic opportunities analysis, and it shows a 5-acre deficit of the service commercial land. So as I mentioned, commercial zoning doesn't preclude property from being developed residentially. That's the application that's actually in the queue in the planning department at the time. And the loss of the 0.65 acres of multifamily really won't have an appreciable impact on the current stock of usable residential land, or conversely, the amount of service commercial land that's available. Finally, we take a look at public facilities. There are water, sewer, street, and storm drain facilities existing in Poplar Drive. Almost said Progress, that's not right. So with that, staff is recommending approval. As I mentioned, the Planning Commission did forward a favorable recommendation to you. So that concludes my report. I'm happy to take questions.
All right, questions? Garrett?
Kelly, can you go back to the land supply chart?
Sure.
So I just want to make sure I'm understanding. We have a surplus in the urban high-density residential.
Correct.
That this land is currently glupped as.
Correct.
And we'll be reducing our deficit in the service commercial.
That's correct.
So basically, we'll be improving our numbers.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Card, then Mr. Curlinger.
So, Kelly, this isn't specifically about the application, but one of the things that really struck me on this is it's odd that we have an urban high-density residential GLUP designation, and because we want to build a really high-density project, we can't do it in high density. Like, to me, that seems like a broken thing. And I'm not saying that I want to change this application, but like, is that something that we need to evaluate, that we have a cap on high density? I mean, is there a reason for that? I don't want to get into a long conversation here, but like, that just stuck out to me as like something doesn't seem to match up with my expectations.
That's an excellent question. So I think the density ranges for all of our zone districts come from the way back. So I will tell you that it's always been that way. That doesn't mean that's what it always has to be, but that's where we are. I will also say, though, that if we get to messing around with those density ranges, then we'll have to go backwards and do some analysis on as far as like the needs analysis on this very chart, because it will change those things. So, but it is an excellent question. I know that some of our neighbors have higher density allowances in their multifamily zones than we do.
Thank you.
Can you had a map up that showed this location with some of the stuff surrounding it, and I may have just found it. No, there we go. Okay. Okay, thanks. I just wanted to peek at that, make sure I had the right spot.
Oh, well, that
Thank
was
you.
easy. All right.
Did you ask your question?
He didn't have a question.
Okay, there we go.
He just wanted to look.
Mr. Quinn.
I could see the map.
Thank you. Been doing that for about 2 years now, haven't 3?
A little bit. It's
Yeah.
always expected, so that's great.
Thank you. I need constant supervision. Could you go back to the land use chart you talked to Mr. West about?
The table? Sure.
Yeah. So you're indicating we have a small deficiency in commercial and an excess in urban high density. I get that. And that making this commercial instead of urban high density would be better because it would put more property in an area where we don't have enough and maybe take a little bit out of an area where we have too much. But isn't that illusory given that we're putting apartments on this?
Well, that's an interesting question. So it is permissible under the zoning regulations.
It's permissible under the zoning regulations, but that's for planning. We're here for the policy decision about what to do with the GLUP. So we have a much broader chalkboard to write on.
That's true. This is only one of the considerations. The other was this. Are there facilities that are available to serve the site? So, but no, you're correct.
So it's a change in name that looks nice on a chart, but it's not really a change in reality to help us have more really commercial land.
Yes.
Okay. And if we kept the UH designation and this was limited at MFR 30, how many units could be put on?
I think the maximum was 22.
Okay. So we're building 10 extra units by calling this housing development commercial.
Yes.
That seems, okay, well, I understand that's land use and, even the devil can quote scripture to his purpose, but that, that doesn't seem to make sense. We have a limit for housing at MFR 30, but if we use the Queen of Hearts from Lewis Carroll and call it something else, we can make more.
Under the current policies, yes, that's correct.
Okay, if we allow it by the GLUP amendment.
That's correct.
And to allow it by the GLUP amendment, we'd have to make the findings that are offered in the applicant's suggested findings, which were really scant.
They're thin.
Yeah. So and I looked at yours, which are excellent as it always is, and it seems that a lot of what you're saying is similar to what I pointed out at the beginning, that this is great because it's increasing commercial, but it's not. It's building almost 50%, one shy of 50% more apartments that we don't need on commercial that we're calling it, but it isn't. Am I wrong?
So I think we're kind of mixing things. So I think, do we need more units? Yes. Let me go backwards to go frontwards here again. So this is it's an acreage question versus a unit question. So I think, just from my experience being here for a minute, that we do need more multifamily units. So the question then kind of becomes, is this an appropriate location for the GLUP designation that would allow that use?
Right, but it would be higher density than would be allowed.
Than is currently allowed, correct.
So when we initially set the plan of what the GLUP is throughout Medford, someone in their great wisdom, maybe, said this should be housing. And by saying it's housing, that cuts it at MFR 30, which is a considered limitation also by whoever enacted our Title 10 of our code. We're taking the lid off that if we call it something else.
That's correct.
Because the code allows it.
Right.
So going back to the planning, they did send a favorable recommendation and did agree that this could be built on CS, but that really wasn't a discretionary call in planning, was it? They kind of are stuck with it if it meets the criteria. You can't really just say no as a matter of policy. That's not what planning does. That's what we do.
Correct.
Okay, so the policy issue is, do we go above the MFR 30 limitation in our law for this particular property by calling it commercial even though it's going to be apartments?
Yes. So, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Stein?
Okay, so you mentioned not putting any conditions on it, but let's say we go ahead and approve it as we see it, and then they say, okay, great, well now I can put my service commercial on what used to be high density.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we have to combat that if we don't have any restrictions or conditions?
Well, so if the GLUP amendment is approved, then the zoning becomes service commercial professional office, so they could build whatever is permissible in that zone. It could be an office building, it could be like commercial use, it could be residential use.
Right, but I mean, part of this is they're gonna to one up Mr. West over there. I actually lived across the street. I could see my apartment in the little thing. I lived there for 8 years. There used to be during election season, there would be a Kevin Stein sign in that area. I don't know who put it there, but there was little Stein signs there. So, I mean, so when you're just looking at it, it's like, okay, cool. Well, they're saying they're going to do this to get this done, but there's actually nothing stopping them from saying, okay, great, thank you very much. Now I'm going to go do this dastardly deed over here and make commercial over here in this area because now I can.
That's correct. I mean, yes, they could. What I can tell you is that we have an application in the queue pending this outcome for 32 apartment units on that property. So whether they're built that's up to the applicant, and I'm confident that Mr. McKechnie will have way more information on that than I do.
Thank you.
So just a point on that, because when I first heard this, I was like, whoa, we got to figure out this conditions thing. But looking at this land analysis, like, this is exactly what we should be doing. We should be taking land that we have excess land in and moving it into areas, into GLUP designations where we have excess demand or insufficient supply. And so really in this way, assuming this analysis is accurate, which I have no reason to doubt, this is something that we should be doing anyway. The fact that we have an applicant who's trying to get us to do what exactly we should be doing, I say we don't really need conditions because we're not trying to like meet a residential need by making this change. This is more of a land analysis, fixing the way the GLUP exists in the first place. So this is an easy thing for me to do without conditions.
So I'm going to let Eric speak real quick and just throw out, if we have questions regarding the application, ask staff, but if we have discussion on a motion, let's save it for that.
So I wanted to address Mr. Stein's point in that it's absolutely true that there's nothing that would prevent them from later redeveloping or following an application. That is normal for a GLUP change, and someone can certainly, as part of a GLUP application, say, hey, here's what I'm intending on doing it, but it is just a change in the map that changes from one category to another. And if, as a matter of policy, we were to start saying, yes, you get this, but only if you do this specific application, that does create a cloud on a title that prevents future redevelopment and is something that we've stayed away from historically for a number of reasons. So,
Mr. Quinn, did you have something?
Yeah, I do. It's actually a question, although it won't sound like that for about a minute. So, and you and I have actually mused about this separately. It is very, very common, and I'll ask you in your experience of 25 years?
Almost 20.
Almost 20, that'll do. Where you get a zone change or a GLUP change or some other important change about what can be done with property. Maybe that makes it more valuable, like this would. The next thing you see after the Planning Commission does their thing is a for sale sign. That's very common, is it not?
It happens.
We saw it on the property on Stewart near Lozier, not the gas station, but a little further west. We saw it on King and Garfield. That happened pretty quickly. It happens all the time that I noticed because I intentionally look, and I find it very fascinating. So apropos to Mr. Stein's point, and I am very much a fan of Mr. McKechnie and Shane, very much so. So they shouldn't take this in a bad way, but it's up to the owner what they do. And they could certainly sell this quite quickly, and we would have rezoned it, changed the GLUP that was decided in our wisdom of whoever drafted it previously, and call housing not housing, and then it just gets sold, and those of us who are all supporting this because it would make more housing don't get what they bargained for. Is that something that could happen, Kelly?
Sure. Sure, it could. I mean, that's not, the development of the property is not the question before you this evening.
I got it. So it's just, my point is we should be very careful about being excited about this because we're getting high or higher than MFR 30 housing, because maybe we will, maybe we won't. Thanks.
Mr. Curlinger.
Mr. Mitten. What I'm gathering from this conversation is if the council is exceptionally concerned that this be restricted to residential development rather than approving this change with conditions attached, it would be a more reasonable approach to, as of now, deny this application and then revisit our density requirements. And that would actually get at the heart of the issue more than adding conditions or trying to do a jerry rig to this. And I'm not recommending we do that, just to be clear. I'm just trying to keep things in its own lane.
Before I answer that, I want to refresh the criteria and whether this is a shall approve or may approve before I would suggest that the best course of action would be a discretionary policy decision. So if I could have a little bit of time and circle back with you, that would be awesome.
That's okay. And I'm not recommending we do that, but I do feel like we're a little, if we're going to start talking conditions to the GLUP change approval, and I apologize, I asked the question, now I'm getting into discussion. Eric, don't feel pressured to answer that question right now. I think I was more wrapping my mind around it and whether or not we should be adding conditions to an approval.
I'll get started and I'll have an answer before y'all need to vote.
Okay. Other questions on the proposal before us? Mr. Stein.
Yeah, I mean, every decision, like, I think Mr. Mitten brought up a good point. Just because something meets the conditions doesn't mean we have to do it, right? Just because people want to change their zone change does not mean we have to allow it, right?
No, that's not correct. If it meets the approval criteria, then you have to approve the application. Oregon land use.
And
so they can just go, they can find all these high density residential and just start knocking them all down because it fits whatever criteria.
If the code language is, if these criteria are met, the deciding body shall approve, not may approve. And then council votes no because they think in the totality of circumstances a bad idea, we have bought ourselves a lube appeal that I can't win.
Okay.
Mr. Keating, did you have a question?
I guess I did, briefly. I think you've been over it, but I just wanted to clarify. It opens up a whole nother can of worms if we were to change our density limit on the MFR 30, is that correct?
Yes, so the analysis actually on the top table, that comes from our housing opportunity analysis. And so that, it's based on the number of units that are anticipated to serve the population growth that we anticipate. And so if we're going to change those numbers, then the amount of land we need will also change. So it's a trickle down. So if you're able to build more density on the same number of acreage to serve that number of units, then you're going to need fewer acres to do it. So it would change our land mix. So it's a big question. It's a very big policy question, and there's a lot of implications with doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Jessica.
When is the next time we redo our housing opportunity analysis?
That was just done in 2023. So I'm not sure of how long, but not, it'll be
not anytime soon is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
At this point, I will open the public hearing, and the applicant or the applicant's representative may come down and present.
I was just looking for a specific citation.
Good evening, councilors. Mark McKechnie with Oregon Architecture, here to, I think, just answer your questions on the particular project that you have before you. I can tell you that very often, sitting in another location, that we often see these kinds of zone changes without any kind of site plan coming with it, and really we have no idea, to Mr. Quinn's point, what's going to happen. In this case, the particular owners came to us. They have this piece of property. They asked us what we could do with it, and basically it fit ideally for what we wanted to do. So if you notice, we were able to get 32 units instead of the 22 maximum that's allowed. We were able to get all the parking on there. We don't have any exceptions for side yard setbacks. We don't have any exceptions for over height. So it just seemed like it was worth it to make this one switch. And frankly, it's an ideal place for housing. It's located within, all the things that we want to see in an area where you can walk to employment centers, you can walk to retail spaces. So I think it checks off all the boxes that we want to see as a city. So that's kind of my pitch. Happy to answer any of the questions that you might
Any
have.
questions for the applicant? Nick?
I love to see more housing. That is a lot of units squeezed into a tiny space.
Well,
are these all studios and one bedrooms, or?
No, they're all 1 and 2 bedrooms. Yeah. Yeah, well, and they're not small either. I mean, their 2 bedrooms are 800 or 825, and the 1 bedrooms are 650. So it worked out super. Maybe I can say pitch for the company. We are good at putting 5 pounds of stuff in a 4-pound bag.
How many stories are there?
I'm sorry, what?
How many stories?
3.
Okay. Kevin?
Oh, I was going to ask if it was the same floor plan as like the Poplar Village over right across the street
I have no
or
idea.
adjacent to it.
Yeah.
But if it's 3 stories, that makes sense on how you can get that many units there.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Kevin?
I'm just kind
Keating,
of,
sorry.
how you doing there? How detrimental would it be if there were a condition that said that it had to be residential housing?
Honestly, I think that is a policy question that the Planning Commission and Mr. Minton would rather deal with.
Fair enough.
I could give you a comment, but it would be from the Planning Commission and things, and that's not why I'm here today, so.
Are you planning on withdrawing your application for the apartments if this is approved and then doing something completely different or reselling it?
Well, we're not the owners, but no, they came to us with, they actually had somebody else that had looked at it with them to put housing on it, and we looked at it and said, I think you can get a few more units. So they've always planned to put housing there.
Other questions? All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Request rebuttal time just in case?
If we need it, yep.
Okay. All right. Erica, did anyone complete a public comment form for this public hearing?
No, Your Honor.
Anybody that did not would like to come down and what? Anybody want to come down and speak? Eric, did you have a point?
Yeah, I just wanted to close the loop on the question I was at, and this way, if there's anything in what I say that they want to speak to, it gives them an opportunity to do so. So 10.222, minor type 4 amendments, adopts by reference a section of the comprehensive plan, and it says there is some subjectivity, there is some wiggle room here. It's not one of the purely mechanical where if these 3 things are met, council has to approve, and if council does anything other than approve, we've got a losing LUBA appeal. So there's amendments shall be based on the following: a significant change in one or more goal, policy, or implementation strategy, demonstrated need for the change to accommodate unpredicted population trends, to satisfy urban housing needs, or to assure adequate employment opportunities, the orderly and economic provision of key public facilities, maximum efficiency of land uses within the current urbanizational area, environmental, energy, economic, and social consequences, compatibility of the proposed change with other elements of the city comprehensive plan, and all applicable statewide planning goals. So, theoretically, the question I was asked is, legally, would it be permissible to deny this application and then instead institute a code change to increase the maximum in residential? Theoretically, that's possible. In terms of their project, the amount of work it would take to change the maximum amount of residential, because it affects various other plans and studies, is no small task, and I hope that folks understand that that could take years and not months because of how it touches on other issues.
Okay. Any rebuttal to that? Okay. At this point, the public hearing is closed. And any other questions for staff before things get going? Okay, I see a lot of hemming and hawing. Maybe just a little discussion on this application meets all the requirements for the general land use plan amendment. It does.
Oh.
Wait, you say it doesn't?
Well, a lot of the premise is it meets it because it adds more commercial property and we have a deficiency of it and we have enough urban so we can get rid of that. But we're building housing, so that's a fallacious argument.
So are they required to build housing after this action?
No, we're required to say that it supports a policy that we like. And if the policy we like is more commercial land and we're building housing, that's a fallacious decision. It doesn't make sense.
So would you say that the applicant's mistake is showing what they were going to do on the property rather than just saying, I want a map change, a zone change?
I wouldn't say it's a mistake.
Okay. Nick?
I'm also not saying I'm going to vote no. I just want to make sure we go in eyes open.
So, Kelly, from my education on this piece related to Councilor Quinn's question, when we do the land use, are we presupposing certain uses that are commercial? Or is that actually an analysis of our code saying these are all the applicable commercial uses and therefore the demand for those uses, we call that commercial, and that's how we calculate the commercial acres?
The latter. So here's kind of how if I might, Your Honor, here's how I think of how the land use system works. So we have the GLUP map, and that's kind of like a 30,000 foot look of how we want the city to function. We base our infrastructure analyses and our capital improvement programs for infrastructure on the map and the anticipated population and need. And then we get into zoning, which is how we implement. So your question of what are the anticipated uses, they're listed in 10.337 of the Land Development Code. So that's what we expect to see in the zones that are allowed in the GLUP designations.
If I can ask just to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, because you showed us a chart that said there was so many acres need of service commercial versus so many acres we have of service commercial, right?
Correct.
And so a valid use of service commercial land is as residential, and that's been in our code for quite some time.
That's correct.
And so what I'm trying to understand is in the demand there, is that also factoring in that residential use of commercial land, or is that being the demand of residential land is only being sort of accounted for under these explicitly residential districts?
So my understanding of how the housing needs analysis was conducted was recognizing that a certain number of residential units were going to be produced in the commercial zones. So I think it's both.
That answers my question.
Curlinger?
Nick, you may have just articulately backed your way into the point I was going to make, which is, John, I disagree that the claim is somewhat fallacious in that it's saying that we have a shortage of service commercial at some point in the code. We determined, we being the city, not us, that a high-density residential use of that zoning was acceptable and was necessary based on our supply and demand. So if high-density residential is allowed in service commercial, that's accounted for when we say, okay, we need more service commercial. So it's not a smoke and mirror. It's to say, that was my question about adding conditions. If we disagree that high density should be allowed in service commercial, or that the high density residential should allow for higher density of units, I think that's a much larger philosophical and like land use question that we need to revisit. But to say that it's a false claim, I disagree with. I don't think it is, because this use is allowed in service commercial and we have a shortage of service commercial.
All right, any other questions, Mr. Stein?
Oh, I can't get enough. This is
Discussion
this is interesting. So, I mean, it's 0.65 acres. This is like a rounding error, and when it comes to our, general planning in Medford. But I'm learning, like, I mean, the things that are interesting to me, I mean, Mr. Quinn, it's basically you work in that gray area, right? But but in my opinion, it's working in the gray area, but coming up with the right answer, right? Like if they came before us and say, hey, we want to put more units on here, we might find a way to try to make that happen. They found a way to make that happen before us. Is it kind of odd? Of course it's odd, right? If they came and said, nothing, we just want to make this service commercial because it's right next to the Road Credit Union and hey, it's kind of the neighborhood next to the Montessori school or whatever else, we probably wouldn't have thought much about it and moved on with our lives. The one concern I have is not really so much about this, because again, it's so tiny. But man, what happens if someone has like 15 acres and they want to move it from urban high density and move it to service commercial with some, plan or no plan? And then I'm hearing that we can't do anything about it. That's what bothers me. So not so much about this because it's so tiny, but I think about, I had to write that down as like maybe there needs to be things related to housing, zone changes, and in terms of making that go from a shall to a may, because there might be the circumstances. There's circumstances where it makes perfect sense to make that. I remember RVTD, when they were expanding, they expanded and they bought the land, they turned it from high density into commercial. Again, it makes perfect sense. They're increasing their campus. Okay, great, but you are losing that. But there's a good point. It makes sense, and people come very frequently and say, hey, and we always ask, what are you going to do? Why are you changing the zoning? Oh, you're coming in, you're annexing into the city. Well, what are you going to do next? I mean, usually people come because they have plans, and it makes sense for us to do the plans. So I guess we can't really say we don't like your plans of what you're going to do later. Tough. But it's nice to know, and I just kind of think about in the future, is there a way to make it where maybe we don't like their plan, and having that be a council decision? Because that's one of the things you mentioned is like there should be some jurisdiction where it's like, ooh, well, maybe not on this one, or maybe there needs to be back down to planning and work on a little bit more. So I actually agree a lot with the concepts of what you brought up, but as it is, this is fine. Thanks.
All right, questions, discussion, and we'll get to a motion here pretty quick. John Quinn.
Okay, you said that reluctantly, Mayor, all right.
No.
We are
gonna get to a motion here eventually.
I understand. So, I didn't necessarily say I was against it for this particular property. What I am doing is we have a fairly new council. 2 of us have been on planning, the mayor and I, that's it. There's a lot of interesting things that happen in planning, and this is an interesting issue that, although all of us are smart and excellent people, might not have been immediately apparent that there are some strangenesses in the way our code works and the way things are approached. I will compliment Mr. McKechnie in that he always tends to have really smart plans. He really does. No kidding. So, and also he is very honest, and that is important because we're at the end of the day, this is a very person-oriented business. I've had people when we were on planning know damn well what they were going to build and say, I don't have to tell you. And that shouldn't be allowed. And we certainly shouldn't punish him for his honesty, and it's probably going to be a really nice building. But there's a lot of principles that I wanted you all to think about and go in eyes open. Not necessarily to defeat it or argue against Mr. McKechnie's plan, but to make sure we all really thought hard about these things that are so huge and complicated that's often easy to go, oh, okay. That's all.
Garrett.
I move to approve Council Bill 2025-109.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Would you like to speak to your motion, Mr. West?
I would indeed. I have a lot to say. So number one, service commercial. We need to rename it service commercial and super high density housing or something, just so we're all on the same page about what exactly can happen in these zones. I also think we need a new GLUP designation for like urban super high density, so we just know it's housing, but you get to add more housing to it. Because I think some of the problems we're having tonight are, well, are they going to build commercial there, or are they actually going to build the residential? And it could be, they're going along, and then all of a sudden the economy, the bottom falls out, and they can't build the residential. But 5 years from now, they can build some commercial. That is something we should absolutely consider as a potential possibility. Very high hopes that we're going to get some more housing here. I think the plans are fantastic. There were some questions about, well, could we add a condition of approval to the GLUP amendment, forcing them to do residential? I would oppose that to the end of my life. I have dealt with these GLUP zones before that have had conditions attached, and they are a nightmare for the property owner. At the end of the day, we're not approving a particular development. We're determining, does this make sense based on the code to change the general land use plan? I think it makes sense here. There's service commercial right next door. This is right off McAndrews. This is exactly where, if there was an office, no one would blink. It makes total sense. If we had more cars coming in, more high-density housing, in my opinion, one of the best places in town to have this. I think all of the criteria are clearly satisfied. I went through the application. It makes total sense to me. I think all the state land use goals are satisfied, so I'm very happy with it. And at the end of the day, if for some reason we couldn't build housing, I still think this is a plus for rezoning it. I know we've had some talk about the chart and moving land figures around and the acreages. That kind of chart, it's a step, not 0, but 1 in a very large machinery of land use planning. And making sure we have sufficient service commercial, or commercial in general, is really important. And so if we did the rezoning or the GLUP amendment and things didn't happen the way we want them to happen with this development, still the city is benefited. So I 100% agree with this, and I urge everyone to vote in favor.
Mr. Card?
Medford's open for business. We want development like this. I'm excited to see this happen. However we can make your development happen, come talk to the city of Medford. We want it here. Thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, when I first saw the switch from residential to commercial, I was a little skeptical too. Then I realized it's already next to commercial anyway, and then on top of that, the intent was high density. And I'm like, that makes total sense here. So I hope it's high density. I realize it doesn't have to be, and maybe I'm like naive or too trusting, but from what I know, I have no reason to expect this is like a full-on bait and switch to trick us into building a car wash. So I'm in favor of it.
All right. I guess it's a couple final comments. Mr. Quinn, you're absolutely right. This is kind of a fascinating case study of how this works. And what's interesting a little bit is the higher the density, usually there can become some conflict with surrounding uses. It's kind of fascinating that basically that same building architecture can go on that site tomorrow, so it can be the same height, more or less the same coverage, except for drop off a couple of units, and then you've met your deal. I did learn tonight, after all this time, we do a lot to promote housing in a lot of random zones, like light industrial, evidently, but I had no clue that you were allowed much greater density in these off-brand residential zones. So that was kind of fascinating to learn. At any rate, I learned a lot tonight. Hopefully you did too as well. Call the roll.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I missed who the second was.
I think it was Nick Card.
You got me.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Nick Card,
Yep.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Mike Curlinger,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
and Zach Smith.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right, that passes and on to 90.5, unless break time, anyone? No. Okay, 90.5? I don't even look at you when I say that.
90.5.
Does anyone else want a break?
90.5 is Council Bill 2025-110, An ordinance approving a minor amendment to the general land use plan map of the Medford Comprehensive Plan by changing the land use designation of the portions of 3 developed parcels totaling approximately 1.48 acres located on the west side of Rieger Street, approximately 595 feet north of West Main Street. The action applies to westerly 0.78 acres of the subject parcels and consists of changing the GLUP map designation of those areas from urban residential to commercial. This is land use quasi-judicial. The same rules apply as the last one.
Yeah, thank you. So before we begin, does anyone have any conflicts of interest or ex parte contacts to report? All right.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Dustin Severs with the Planning Department. I'll be presenting the staff report for what we're simply calling Rieger Street. This is another minor comprehensive plan amendment. Like Kelly, I'm simply going to call this a GLUP change. So the City Council is the final approving authority, while the Planning Commission acts as an advisory agency. They did hear this action at their November 13, 2025 meeting and did forward a favorable recommendation. They also tentatively approved the zoning change, which is pending approval of the GLUP application tonight. Looking at our legal requirements, Kelly already addressed the criteria. I'll just simply state that the applicant did address all the applicable criteria thoroughly in their findings, including the applicable statewide planning goals, and the Planning Commission's recommendation was that you adopt those findings. So begin by looking at the project summary. So the subject site consists of approximately 1.5 acres. It consists of 3 contiguous parcels. As you can see, each of the parcels contains a single-family residence. They've been on there some time. The property is fronted by Rieger Street along its easterly boundary. Rieger Street is a local street under the jurisdiction of Jackson County. As you see, it does terminate in a cul-de-sac at the northeast of the site. Now, it's important to note that the subject area applies solely to the western half, roughly 0.78 acres, while the eastern portion, which contains the 3 homes, will continue to be residences. They will continue to be zone residential. Panning out a little bit, you can see the surrounding area is a mixture of residential, industrial, and commercial. To the northwest of the subject area, you have the Pioneer Marketplace. This is a commercial land subdivision. And then immediately to the west, you had the JB Steel warehouse. Those are the 2 abutting parcels immediately to the west of the subject area. Next slide shows an image of the site looking west. You can't see those 3 existing homes at the site. You also have an aerial view of the subject area. So the proposal is to change the GLUP designation from urban residential, which allows for all our single-family zones, and to change it to commercial, which allows for all of our commercial zones, with the exception of the commercial service and professional office, which is allowed only in the service commercial zone. And there also be, they've already been tentatively approved to have the zoning change from SFR 00 to heavy commercial, and then that will match the abutting property to the west, which is a big part of this request, which is the JB Steel parcels. So looking at the aerial view of the subject area, obviously the site is already being used by JB Steel as their storage yard. So it was explained, this property was annexed in the city in 2003, and explained by the applicant their findings has been used historically as a storage area for 20 plus years. So we're looking at a legal non-conforming, a grandfathered situation here. So with the approval of the change, they'll be able to bring the use of the property into conformance, and they'll also be able to slightly expand their operation. You see there's some vacant land just to the north of the subject area, and they'll also be putting a road through there, as we'll be discussing here in a couple of slides. So we'll be bringing it into conformity. In terms of losing residential land, I'll borrow a phrase from Mr. Stein. This is a rounding area, just 0.78 acres. And also, we also have a pending property line adjustment. So as long with the zone change and the GLUB change, they will be adjusting the property line, the JB Steel, incorporating their storage area into the site. So we'll be bringing everything into compliance with the approval of this application. Not a whole lot to look at. There was a traffic impact analysis that was provided with the zone change. So this is provided by Southern Oregon Transportation Engineering. As stated in the applicant's findings, in the real world, there really shouldn't be an increase in traffic. They're simply going to be using the property the same as they have for the last 20 years. Regardless, a traffic impact study was required, and it concluded that the proposed zone change can be approved without significantly affecting any existing or planned transportation facility. So the Public Works Department reviewed the TIA, and they have no conditions in terms of traffic, no mitigations required. And finally, I want to talk about another application that was originally on the agenda this evening. So this is the vacation of New Bridge Way. So this is related to our subject application. It'd been nice to have these go at the same time, but it looks like we'll be hearing this at our next meeting in January. So you can see New Bridge Way is an unapproved right-of-way along the southerly boundary of the Pioneer Marketplace, just along the north boundary of the JB Steel. So the applicant has requested to vacate this property for a couple of reasons. One, there's actually a house in the right-of-way, and also you see New Bridge Way to the west of Ross Lane where it currently terminates. There's a bit of an offset of where New Bridge would be extended where the right-of-way currently is. So the applicant has asked to vacate the property, and in lieu of that, they're proposing to do a interior access road as shown on the conceptual plan on the top right of the screen. So they provide an immediate benefit connecting the Ross Lane ultimately to Rieger Street to the east, whereas it could probably take some time to get New Bridge, if ever that would ever be done. So the Public Works Department is supportive of this approach, and this will be a private road. However, there will be a public easement, so it will be open to the public. And as you can see, it will start from Ross and snake down, and ultimately it will cross the the top two parcels of the subject area before finally connecting to Rieger Street. I should just be clear that this is not before the council this evening. We're looking solely at the GLUP change. However, be remiss if I didn't show this to you. It is heavily related to the GLUP change. And finally, we'll talk about impacts to the neighbors. So typically, when we look at impact to neighbors, conditions are applied at time of development. So this is a little unique. They're not going to be redeveloping the property. At least that's not their intent. That may change. They intend to continue to use this as a storage area. So typically we don't add conditions in terms of buffering at zone change or at the GLUP change. However, the applicant has stipulated, and there's actually the stipulations with the street vacation, as they will be providing buffering in the form of a wall as well as some landscaping. The applicant didn't specify exactly where that's going to be located at, because I'll defer to Mr. Jay Harlan at CSA to speak on that if you have any questions about the buffering. We did receive several comments. Actually, I believe we had 3 folks speak at the Planning Commission meeting, and they did express some concerns about the impacts to their surrounding area. But I should note that the use of the property, again, is not changed, and they'll continue to use it as a storage yard. And with that, again, the Planning Commission did forward a favorable recommendation at their November 13th meeting, and staff is likewise supportive of the requests. So with that, I can take questions, and we also have Mr. Jay Harlan of CSA Planning, who's the applicant's agent. He is in attendance. Thank you.
Okay, I got Mike, then Jessica.
So the impacted tax lots, 2,000, 2,100, and 2,200 are currently owned by JB Steel, the applicant, correct?
The lots with the houses on them are owned by the applicant.
Copy.
And there's this affiliated ownership with the applicant and JB Steel. Mr. Harlan can speak further to that.
Other questions? Garrett?
I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly, because the proposed GLUP change has like this curve at the very top, and that's due to a property line adjustment, and because there's going to be a new road there that will curve. And
Correct.
So the GLUP line will follow that.
Exactly.
Physical landmark. Okay, thank you.
All right. Curlinger?
That's the little sliver I was talking about in my email, by the way, in case that question didn't make sense before.
Yeah, so the road, as you see, the roadway will come right around the north boundary. There will be a little area where they could, potentially expand their storage area a bit.
Other questions? All right, thank you very much for that staff report. At this point, I will open the public hearing, and we will hear from the applicant and/or their representative.
Good evening, councilors. For the record, Jay Harlan with CSA Planning. We're here this evening representing Rieger Street LLC, or Rieger LLC, and I think Dustin did a good job explaining the issues and sort of the interconnection between the vacation and getting that public commercial street through to get some connectivity in this area, and the GLUP map. Essentially, the sliver that was being talked about, that small area that is basically from where the new road would be to that property line. And as a practical matter, that's the end of the building where they get the steel in, and sometimes they have really big pieces of steel and they have other equipment, so having that little extra area to ooch long pieces of steel around to get them in to do the fabrication would be great. I am pleased tonight to propose a GLUP amendment where there's not a lot of mystery of what the use is going to be in the future. The use here has been there for 20 years, and I don't think JB Steel is going anywhere anytime soon. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions and would request the council approve the GLUP amendment tonight. Thank you.
Questions? All right. You want to, just to be on the safe side, save a little rebuttal time? Okay. Open testimony to the public. Did anyone fill out a public comment card?
No, Your Honor, they did not.
Is anyone here that would like to testify on this project? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. I did have one question, actually, which is when you split the GLUP designation on a single lot, is the property line, well, either a partition or a property line adjustment, is that already inherent in that, or can a lot live split like this?
It can be. We do have split zone properties. It's rare we see them, but occasionally we see them.
Okay.
At times.
All right.
Yep.
Motion or other questions? I'll take a motion. Mr. West.
I move approval of council or ordinance number 2025-110.
Second. Let's see, moved by Garrett, seconded by Nick. Any discussion, Mr. West?
None from me. I think this makes total sense.
All right, we'll call the roll.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Nick Card.
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes?
John Quinn,
Yes.
Mike Curlinger,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Zach Smith.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right, that passes as well. Thank you all. We'll move on to council business. There are no proclamations. However, there are awards and celebration of people. I would like to thank Councilor President Nick Card and Councilor Vice President Jessica Ayers with a little token of my appreciation.
Thanks. Did you make this yourself?
Let's be clear that Winnie took care of it. I mean, this is... Look at that. That is very nice. Very nice. Thanks for all the hard work this year. Yeah.
I know a year was a long time to put up with me, and so for your sakes, you know, there's a lot of, exactly, I know. Maybe 2 years. I've lengthened your life, you can think of it that way. I appreciate it. It's been an honor to serve, and I'm looking forward to the next, see what Jessica does next year. All right, back to my show. I know. Look, you give me a plaque. I mean, do I really have to do any of this stuff? All righty. First off, council officers. We had 4 items on the agenda. First item, staff is requested to move our council goals and performance measures. We have a very full study session on January 14th. They wanted to move that as an item. We had a conversation about that being something that we wanted to discuss as probably a meaty issue, and we know coming up already on January 28th, that's the 4th Wednesday in January. We've got our city manager stuff. So after some discussion, staff is going to move an SDC's update from Dan to that January 28th meeting. So we will have a quick update on that, and that helps keep the 14th study session going smooth. Second item, John brought us an update from Kirby on our Washington, D.C. dates. Kirby is recommending that we would visit from the 24th to the 27th of March. That would be the D.C. trip. Traditionally, the way these trips are done is it's the council officers and the mayor, and then depending on what other capacity we have available. And so before we have a conversation about who goes, it is probably, in my opinion, best that we elect those new council officers in January. So there'll be more conversations about those DC trips coming up in January after officers are elected. Third item, John Weil brought us back a discussion about a joint meeting with Medford Water Commission, basically getting clarification on what sort of the past had been. To refresh us, Water had come to us suggesting they wanted to do a joint meeting. We said we wanted an agenda so we know what we're talking about before we agree to a joint meeting. And so John's going to get with Medford Water and get that all straightened out. And then that will come back to officers, and then that'll be brought back to the dais. Fourth item, we received an attendance report from Winnie about our members of our boards and commissions. There were a few that were identified as being particularly absent. And so of those, one stood out as being someone who is a current member and is not like resigning, and none of the ones that we're looking at reappointing are particularly absentee. So the mayor is going to reach out to that person on SPAC and see what's going on with them. And we have new software that will be rolling out in January to be able to better track those attendance issues. So if attendance issues or other issues come up, those will come up through officers, so that way we can get ahead of that and make sure that our boards and commissions are operating as efficiently as possible. Do we want to do board and commission appointments, or do you want to do council reports, committee reports first? What committee reports? All right. Garrett wants to do committee reports. Mr. West.
To update everyone on Medford Water, there's going to be rate increases that you might have heard about. Across the board, it's about 15% increase. But for Medford residents and those receiving water directly from Medford Water, it's a 13.6% increase. For those in the water districts, it's a 31.5% increase. And for the partner cities, there's a 26.8% increase starting, I believe, March, maybe it's April. If you do have any questions that you receive from partner cities, I would encourage you to direct those people to myself, Nick, or the mayor, so we can have further discussions about it. There was a minor leak at the Capitol Hill Reservoir drainage pipe, so not the reservoir itself. That was fixed. And then today they had their audit presentation, and everything was fine from that. So thank you.
Any other board or commission updates? Mr. Quinn.
We had our RVSS meeting today, and two things we did of significance were we appointed our budget committee, and some fellow with the name Vile got voted onto it. So John will be joining the RVSS budget committee. We also selected the panel that would be evaluating applications to replace Mr. Tappert as general manager, and again, this Vile fellow's name showed up, so John will be helping us with that, and John, thank you for doing that. You'll be a great asset to both. I'm kidding you a little bit, but it's true, you really will. Thank you for doing it in your spare time. And that's what happened at RVSS of note.
I mean, John, it sounds like, retiring was a mistake, and you're clearly trying not to retire here.
I don't think he understands what retirement means.
Okay. Next agenda item, please.
Yeah. If this is retirement, I don't want to do it.
Any other committee or commission reports?
I'll get one.
Okay.
I did the menorah lighting at the Medford Center last night, which is a good experience. I have now officially I've lit a Diwali light, a menorah light, and an Advent light. So you're rocking it. I'm covered.
Man of light.
Man of light.
I
push back against darkness.
I have one item. The Budget Stabilization Committee met. Jessica and I attended that. In particular, this is action from the council. We had the questions about the paper statement fee, and council had asked staff to bring this to the Budget Stabilization Committee to discuss that and some other options. We did have a really engaged discussion on that fee, what that means, who it impacts. And at the end, the conclusion, the committee voted unanimously to keep the $3 paper statement fee without any exceptions. In addition, we also have a few other items coming forward for budget stabilization. We are going to meet, we're going to prepare for discussion for the next meeting around healthcare costs. This has been a big issue for the city, and so if we can come up with some unique ways, including something that's called reference-based pricing, this is what the state uses to help control state employee costs. This might be something that could work for us. We're also looking ahead. We want to, as you know, one of the goals from budget stabilization, going back to Mayor Sparacino, was not just like, what do we need to do in this immediate biennium, but how do we get ahead of problems on a cost and a revenue side. And so we're going to begin looking ahead 4 to 6 years, trying to anticipate costs that will be growing quickly. And so those are areas that we can try to get more efficient or look at ways of reducing those costs, as well as revenue opportunities. There are many ideas that have been presented to the Budget Stabilization Committee over the years that are, in my opinion, great ideas. It's just that the time horizon to implement some of these ideas has been too long for us to be able to take action for the current biennium. So being able to look ahead and take action on those. So hopefully we'll have some interesting ideas that'll be coming out of that can help us improve budgeting outcomes as we go ahead. Just to reiterate, like, we are rocking it when it comes to budget compared to the other cities in the OR7. I'd like to keep it that way. I'm sure Mr. Martin would like to keep it that way. You have 2 thumbs right up. So good stuff coming out of budget stabilization. Mr. Keating.
Hey, I just wanted to just publicly thank Dan Worth once again for coming in and visiting our urban planning classroom at St. Mary's. And sometimes it can be a little, well, he's a teacher, so it's not that big a deal for him to come talk to 30 kids, or 20, whatever. But anyway, thank you. It was very appreciated, and the kids really had a good time. Thank you.
All righty, let's move on to some appointments. All right, we got a lot of business to get through, so let's get through this pretty quick. All righty. First things first. Just some updates on appointments. Audit Committee. The Budget Committee appointed Brooke Lazari and reappointed Robert Bartolini to the Audit Committee. Parking Committee. Transportation Commission has reappointed Sarah Daly. And there's one open vacancy on the Parking Committee. Public Arts Selection Committee. So Parks and Rec appointed Amanda Olson, and, excuse me for not being able to pronounce your name, Shivani Ligamini, to the youth position with a term beginning immediately. And there are still 2 vacancies on the Public Art Selection Committee. So we also have here a few committees that are our purview to appoint, and we received basically only one request, or basically the requests that matched the vacancies, and these are reappointments. So I want to get through all of these in a single motion. So I move to appoint Chandra Robinson to the Active Transportation Commission, Brandon Kinsey to the Transportation Commission, Peggy Pendlin to the Traffic Coordinating Committee, and Deborah Lee to the Commission on Access, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, with terms ending January 31st, 2029.
Second.
All right, I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Was that a hand mic? No. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Great. The ayes have it. Great. Now we've got some individual appointments. First things first is the PAC, the Police Advisory Committee. The mayor doesn't count. We don't like the mayor for PAC. We don't trust him on the police. He's bad on police, clearly. And so Kevin Plaisance is the 549C rep. So I move to appoint Kevin Plaisance as the 549C Medford School District representative with a term beginning immediately and expiring January 31st, 2029.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Great. Congratulations, Mr. Plaisance. All righty, now we get into the juicy stuff. Landmarks and Historical Preservation Commission. There are 2 terms expiring, and we received 3 applications. 2 of these are incumbents that are seeking reappointment. My recommendation is that we reappoint the incumbents, but I do want to call out Larissa, is it Mattis? She seemed to be really engaged, and I would love to extend some kind of a, I don't know what we can do for her, like as a...
Understudy.
Understudy, okay, I like that, understudy. I mean, so the idea is it's not a formal, it's like an alternate, it's not a formal position, but as a recognition for her interest. So any discussion or thoughts on that, or Mr. Keating?
Yeah, it wasn't really a joke, but is it possible we could assign an alternate? So if, maybe this committee might have some people that don't show up. Is that something where we've ever done that before?
Mr. Mitt?
I mean, while it sounds very practical, there's no mechanism in code, and it makes calculating quorum a little tricky. So I hear where you're coming from, but right now it's not a mechanism we have in code.
Serious.
What about a non-voting member?
Non-voting member. Kind of like a council liaison where they don't count for quorum and they don't vote.
Yeah.
So maybe she could participate in discussion, but not make any decisions.
So we do define the members of the commission in code, and it lists X numbers. So it would, having a non-voting member would not be consistent with that. I mean, I don't think anyone will come and arrest us if we do, but it's not consistent with municipal code to do so.
Okay.
Kevin Plaisance might.
I'm unlikely
As
to
long
get
as I'm not
arrested.
going to jail,
Yeah.
I'm in favor.
Winnie will go to jail, so, yes.
Well,
Mr. Greenler.
they're public meetings, right?
They are public
And
meetings, and we have some where people who are interested come to the majority of meetings.
When we keep a record of the applications, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it would also make sense instead of fudging other things or, risking Ivan showing up. We have some great people on there, but we love that you're interested. Like, these are when the meetings are. We hope you'll come and stay engaged. And if anything happens, we have your name, we have your info, and we want to get you involved.
Mr. West.
Yeah, I agree that we definitely need to keep her at the forefront of our mind next time there's an appointment. That being said, I'd be happy to change the code to allow for non-voting members.
We could just pointers a non-voting member. I think that's real easy. Mr. Stein.
No. No.
Tell me how you really feel.
I enjoy the interview. That was great. She can come to all the meetings. She can come to, just like every other meeting, as public comment, so she can come and give public comment. But having a non-voting member coming and engaging in discussion, not a great thing. Yeah, I can only, I don't think that would be good. Sorry.
Can I speak?
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, so one of the thoughts being is sometimes some of those commissions like that in particular become very, very specific and very interest dominant, if you will. And there are times when you've got a riches and the times when you're can't find enough people to have quorum. So we might be flush today, but it comes and goes. And sometimes people just lose interest with that. I think your point of somebody who doesn't even have a vote showing up and giving a whole lot of opinion or whatever, maybe we could put a little pause to the non-voting, be able to define that somewhat. And also, while we talk to her about if she's interested in that, we might throw out so we don't lose track, it looks like there are 2 vacancies on Active Transportation Commission as well, which would not be out of line to ask somebody if they've got an interest in serving on something they didn't apply for.
I actually have a whole list of vacancies I was going to read out once we get done, because there are a lot of opportunities for people to serve.
There we go.
So let's keep that non-voting in the back of our mind, and then
So I'm going to make a motion then to reappoint Greg Applin and Jeffrey Applin to the Landmarks and Historical Preservation Commission with terms beginning February 1st, 2026 and expiring January 31st, 2030.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Great, the ayes have it. And so we will reach out to Ms. Mattis about other things. Great. Planning. There is one term expiring, Larry, and one vacancy for Mr. Bennington on the Planning Commission. We received 3 applications. Larry applied to be reappointed. Mason McKinney applied, and Priti Patel. Now, Mason McKinney is involved in real estate, and there is an issue with appointing him because we already have 2 people on planning that are involved in real estate. Our code prevents having more than 2. So he would be ineligible to serve on planning at this time. So I think we should just do this as the whole motion. Mr. West, do you have a...
I was going to say my preference is to reappoint Larry to Planning Commission. Obviously, I don't think we can appoint Mason to this position. I'm in favor of appointing Priti to the Budget Committee, but otherwise, I think we should keep the remaining seat on Planning vacant at this time, pending further applications.
Any other thoughts about keeping it vacant? I see a thumbs up from Kevin, Mr. Curlinger.
Well, had we considered starting a coup against Dave Culbertson and just replacing him?
About who?
I'm kidding.
Mr. Quinn.
I agree with Mr. West, and I would like to make the motion as to Mr. Beskow because I enjoyed serving with him for sentimental reasons. I would move to reappoint Larry Beskow.
Is there a second?
To the full term, beginning February 26, February 1, 2026, ending January 31st, 2030.
Second.
All right, I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Mitten.
Point of order, the motion only addressed one of the 2 vacancies. Is the intent of the motion to leave the second position vacant? Or do we want a second motion for the second?
We're getting this one, and then we'll
We'll get the first one out of the way.
Okay, that works.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Great. Congratulations, Larry. Now, council. Okay, Mr.
I agree with what Council West said. What I would like to do, I think for this position, I am more than happy to keep Priti Patel in the discussion. I think when we get more candidates, I'm more than happy to re-interview her along with anyone else. That way we're just, because Ms. Patel put in a lot of information about a lot of different things, and I think if we can hone in with whomever just on planning, I think that would work out best.
Any other comments?
So my
Mr.
comment
Z.
was, I was a little hesitant. Again, you have someone who showed up and with a shotgun approach, and at first you go, okay, but the enthusiasm was real. I think that this is someone that's going to do the work, that's going to ask the questions, it's going to be able to, I believe, handle the position in front of her. So I would be okay filling this position now with her. However, there's really no reason for us to second guess or just go with the applications that we have. If we think that would be nice, and I think that's an interesting perspective of comparing one position to one position with different candidates. So I honestly would be okay with moving ahead today, but I don't see a giant harm in leaving it open. But keeping her name as an applicant.
Does anyone want to make a motion regarding this position? Or if there is no motion, then we'll consider it vacant and continue through the process.
If I may just
Yeah,
speak
Mr.
on
Keating.
this, I am not quite understanding why we wouldn't approve her in this position. I happen to have seen her in a lot of different things. She's extremely competent and very hardworking. And it would seem strange to me where they say, no, we don't need you right now, for no particular reason.
Does anyone have a comment on that?
So
Mr.
I
Stein?
guess, well, let's just.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Sorry.
Mr. Stein has the floor.
I think Mike's going to say it better than me.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to say it better than you because it's really just a question of clearly someone who wants to be involved in the city, just kind of found whatever was open. It kind of does have a little bit of a, I don't know, not a real drive for that spot. That being said, so you just have a 10-minute interview to get to know somebody, and maybe you have a stronger background with her experience, and then maybe that would kind of help color that thought.
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Your microphone, Mr. Keating, please. Your microphone, please, Mr. Keating.
Did she, I wasn't at the interviews, and I apologize, I had something else going on, but did she indicate that she wanted this more than the others, or it was like, I'll kind of apply for any of the three? Because that would make a difference.
My assessment was she was kind of interested in anything. It was more the shotgun approach. Mr. West.
And my recollection was that she was more in favor of the financial stuff than the planning. Yeah.
Does anyone have a motion? Seeing no motion, we'll consider that position, the vacancy remains, and I will add that to my list to read at the end. All right, moving on to budget. 5 positions expiring January 31st on the Budget Committee. 7 qualified applicants were received. I do want to make a comment about one applicant, Rachel Bennett, currently serves on our Planning Commission. I mean, in my opinion, I think planning is a lot of work. I appreciate Ms. Bennett's service there. However, I don't know that, I mean, we already have a designated liaison from planning that serves on budget, right? Or am I? No, we don't. It's the other way around. Anyway, never mind. Ignore that
That's
comment.
SPAC and planning.
SPAC is what I was thinking of. Yep, that's what I was thinking of. So anyway, I mean, I think we have good applicants, and so my inclination would be not to put Rachel on budget, but I'm interested in any other comments. Mr. Stein.
I have no problem. It's 4 meetings. I have no problem with putting good people in more positions if they want to take them. My only recommendation here is that when we go, because you're going to have to say 5 names, make sure you go slow. That way our recorder can mark them down, because if you say 5 names fast, not good. So make sure you say them, enunciate, take your time. That way the recorder can make sure there's an accurate vote tally as we move forward. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, Mr. West.
I was going to say that I very much have enjoyed Ms. Bennett's commentary on Planning Commission when I rewatch their hearings, and so I will definitely be voting to put her on budget.
All right. Does anyone have any other comments about any of the other applicants? Mr. Quinn.
I'm going to vote for Rachel as well. I served with her on planning for 2 years. She was always, without fail, very, very prepared, very thorough, always thoughtful commentaries. We used to joke that we didn't agree that much, but we actually did end up agreeing quite a bit. She was very insightful and knowledgeable. We'd be fine to put her on budget now.
Any other comments about any other applicants? With that, we'll go ahead and call roll. When your name is called, please list out in the order 1 to 7 on your sheet the 5 names that you would like to see appointed to the Budget Committee.
All right. Do you want the numbers, or do you want the names?
The names. In the 1 to 7 order, because that's the order that's on the sheet. It makes it easy for everybody to check it off.
Okay, gotcha.
And so then, that way we can get through this expeditiously. The 5 people who received the most votes will be appointed as part of this process. Any questions, Mr. Stein?
Not 100% accurate, so you have to get a majority. So, for instance, if we end up with 4 people with 5, they're on. And if we got 3 people with 3, then we got to go again.
Okay.
So you got to get a majority.
Fair enough. Thank you for that correction. I guess we don't usually do this with this many applicants.
It has been a long time since I recall a situation like this. So,
all right. Applicants must receive a majority in order to be appointed. May we please have roll call?
Jessica Ayers.
Dan Cano, Brooke Lazari, Mason McKinney, Priti Patel, Scott Sampson.
Nick Hard.
Cano, Lazari, McKinney, Patel, Sampson.
Kevin Keating.
Bennett, Cano, Lazari, McKinney, Patel.
Mike Curlinger,
Bennett, Lazari, McKinney, Patel, Sampson.
John Quinn,
Bennett, Lazari, McKinney, Patel, Sampson.
Zach Smith,
Bennett, Lazari, McKinney, Patel, Sampson.
Garrett West,
Bennett, Lazari, McKinney, Patel, Sampson.
Mayor Zorosinski,
Kevin gets to go.
No, I guess he goes last now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How dare you speak up? Your Honor.
I'm counting.
Okay.
This is how it works.
Hey, wait, you're whipping your own vote right
Yeah.
now?
Can we go to Stein?
Yeah, go to Kevin.
Mr. Stein.
I'll go ahead. So Stein, Bennett, Cano, Lazari, McKinney, Patel.
Okay, so I've got.
Technically, your vote doesn't matter, Mr. Mayor.
Is it done?
It's done.
Okay, it's done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Two that are tied.
Who's...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. Doesn't matter, because there's the top five. There are 5 positions.
Lazari,
Yeah.
McKinney, and Patel are in for sure.
1, 2, 3,
Vote
4,
might be
5,
true.
6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's done. Okay,
Mhm.
I'll read off the winners, or I'll read off the selection.
So you're just going to be a bandwagoner and pick the 5 that we all picked on?
Yes, correct. Bennett, Lazari, McKinney, Patel, Sampson.
Appointed to the Budget Committee, Rachel Bennett, Brooke Lazari, Mason McKinney, Priti Patel, Scott Sampson. Congratulations and thank you for your service. Done.
That was hard work.
We have the following vacancies after appointments. Active Transportation Advisory Committee has 2 vacancies. Cemetery Committee has 2 vacancies. One is a youth position. Committee on Access, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, we have 1 vacancy. The Hospital Facilities Authority Board has 2 vacancies. The Housing and Community Development Commission has a vacancy, a workforce development or education institution representative. Parking Committee has 2 vacancies, 1 at-large and 1 central business district representative. Public Arts Selection Committee has 2 vacancies. SPAC, I don't think we have a vacancy on SPAC because of the change of the count on the... Anyway, Winnie will double check that. Unified Appeal Board, we have 4 vacancies, an at-large, an engineer, a contractor, and a business community positions. The Vision Implementation Committee has a vacancy, or multiple vacancies, that we are currently figuring out because a number of current members didn't reapply, and so we're making sure that everybody understands what's going on there. And After Appointments Planning has a vacancy. So that concludes boards and commissions. Is there any questions or any more council business? Mr. Curlinger? What?
Eric looks
Yeah, I
like
know,
he
I'm
has.
doing interviews.
No, I don't have anything to say. I may have misheard, but I thought Mr. Card said Mr. Curlinger, and I was just confused as to what was going on.
Oh, you raise your hand. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Mitten. Mr. Mitten.
Okay. You're calling on me. I am sorry. Why are you calling on me?
Because Mr. Curlinger was pointing
I
at you.
apologize. I saw your mic turn on and you looked up. I thought you were waiting to interject. So I was pointing at you, not raising my hand.
No, I got nothing.
Great. Point of order. I rule myself out of order on that one. Mr. West.
I feel like we're all just pointing at each other. I just want to be clear, are we going to re-advertise for these open positions? Yes, Winnie's nodding yes, so
Yes.
thank you.
Yes,
Just a
Mr.
quick
Keenan.
question. I don't know the rules, but are youths eligible for anything other than the youth position?
This came up recently. I checked our code. There is no minimum age to serve on any of our positions.
Actually, so let me understand, because I think I can check one more off the list. As the council president, I appoint one at-large member to the audit committee. Is that correct? So we had two applicants, Priti Patel and Amy Zarazinski. And with Priti being appointed to the budget committee, since we already have the budget appointments to that, I would like to appoint Amy Zarazinski to the audit committee. Is that just require me to say that out loud? I declare bankruptcy kind of thing? Or is that I declare Amy Zarazinski on the audit committee? Yeah. Any other council business? Mr. West.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank everyone on council for all their hard work this year. You know, you'll see a lot in the press, nationally, statewide, locally, about councils who don't get along and who cause problems and or violate laws. Yes, thank you, Jessica.
You don't have to go very far away to find
No, you
that.
don't. We don't do that, and we get along really well. We have different opinions, but I truly believe that we all have Medford's best interest at heart, and I think we've done an excellent job the last 12 months of putting our best foot forward and working together as a team to get things done. So thank you all.
Absolutely. Thank you. Mr. Krinlinger.
This is for real. They're all gone now, obviously, by now. But in case anybody like rewatches this or is still watching, I really appreciated how much participation we had this evening.
Mhm.
We've had a lot of commentary lately on a lot of different topics. And then I've been really disappointed when I show up and all of the people who apparently care so strongly about some things are never here. So to everybody who came, we appreciate your input and we appreciate you being here. And I'm really surprised to hear we have 2 vacancies on the parking committee, considering how much commentary I've heard on parking lately. So we would love some input on how we can improve, guys. Thanks.
Mr. Stein.
Real quick. So one thing wasn't mentioned that was amazing was the Winter Lights show. That drone
Oh, yeah.
presentation was like, when I heard about, when Rich talked about it a couple weeks prior, I was like, okay, you know, you never know. But like, that thing was amazing. Like, just see in person, like everyone was just like, wow. That's one of those things that it's like, usually you want to try to top yourself. I don't really know if that can happen. Like, that was just so cool to see in person. The city of Medford made video of it, so you can see it there. But that was really impressive, and people really enjoyed seeing that. A couple of quick notes. So this will be concluding year 11, and of all the years, this is one of them. It was a really, you know, it's just interesting. I think a lot of this year kind of led up to next year. That's kind of how I saw it. I think there was a lot of stuff done in terms of like preparation, and then 2026 will really be like execution. And the main, you know, one of the big parts of that is the Creekside Quarter. You know, we all are kind of wondering, even as council, but especially citizens are wondering, like, what's that going to look like? And we don't know what that's going to look like, but 2026 will be a big step in whatever that is, right? And so, again, this is a lead-up year to get to that. Main Street, that'll be completed. Okay, we're putting the mark down, okay? It'll be completed in some way that's probably different than what it is today. Doesn't mean everyone's going to like it, but it will be different. And obviously the biggest thing that we'll have to do, which will be very time consuming, is not actually a very fun process, which is getting a new city manager. So I keep hearing that John Vile wants to retire, but he keeps doing more stuff. But
sending mixed messages, John.
Yeah. You know, we will, starting in 2026, we'll sit down and figure out the process, who's going to be involved, just all that stuff. It's Again, it is very time consuming. It's obviously the most important thing we do is hire someone to do the day-to-day business of the council, but also what are we up to 500 something employees? 530 employees sounds like a good number, and make all their operations run. So looking forward to it, but there's going to be a lot of work ahead for next year. And I'm glad to be here with you as we go do it.
Again?
I want to say a moment to just touch on one of the things that Kevin was saying is he made me think about like the meeting we're sitting in here today. And I remember in December's past, the last meeting of the year, there's always, it feels like so much stuff that we have to slam through, and it's a huge meeting. And it's only 8:30 and we're patting ourselves on the back for doing a great job. I mean, a lot of that is because we have such an amazing staff and the work that you guys put in every day to keep this city running. We appreciate your patience with us as we've gone through, this has been a lot of transition to lose a city manager, to bring John back from retirement permanently, and so, like, you know, thank you for your service to our community. We sit up here, we take the credit, we look good. It's because of the work that you guys do that we are able to do what we do up here. And really what we do up here, in my opinion, is basically make it so you can do the work you do every day for our community. So I want to thank you guys for all of what you've put in, and I wish we had more people here, but you guys are the ones that stuck around, so you guys are going to get the round of applause. So thank you for an amazing year. I really appreciate it. Mr. Keating.
Yeah, I'm going to join the little cacophony of praise for our staff as well as for the camaraderie of our council, and it flows down to the commissions that I've been on, and people in Medford are just nice people, it seems, and we're able to express ourselves without rancor, and it makes things go much more smoothly. So happy to be here. It's been a good year, and I would like to make one pitch while we're here for the, you know, you were mentioning the drones. We need to do a knockout July 4th celebration. I think this is 250 years coming up, and whoever takes charge of that or whatever, I'll help, but I'd like to see something big.
Well, we can volunteer Rich since he's not here, so. I think that is back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. John, do you have anything?
Just at the risk of being redundant, thank you, council. This is a big commitment from you, and the pay is lousy. But thank you for your service, thank you for your time, and especially thank you, President Card and Vice President Ayers. We have enjoyed working with all of you, and especially the two of you for this past year, so thank you. And nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, super. And yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Kevin, because I hadn't gone down to the tree lighting in a while, and it was packed, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, I saw Zach was there, and that drone show was killer. And I'm just telling you right now that thing's gonna get huge if we keep it up like that. So, because my wife mentioned that to me, she's like, "Yeah, I've talked to a bunch of different people, and the word's out, man. It was killer."
Okay, not to keep us going past 8:30. I've got 3 minutes. I wasn't there because I attended the Kids Unlimited event, which was actually really awesome, and I wish that you guys could have been there. It was long, but the kids put on such a good show, and the kids were servers too, and I wanted to take my children's servers home and keep them forever because they were such great little humans and they were working so hard. And so if you don't know about what Kids Unlimited is doing and the programs that they're trying to create, you should look into it because it is, and we'll probably end up seeing something at Mira, but it was really, really great. So I'm sorry I missed the show, but I did something else that was really cool.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad. Yeah, because I know we had the conflict on that day. Anything else from anyone?
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Yep. All right, meeting is adjourned, 8:28.